let's continue. Since he wanted to use Dien Bien Phu as a launching pad
for raids into enemy territory. In the end, Navarre overruled him proceeded with Operation Castor. An airborne landing at
Dien Bien Phu.
Dien Bien Phu?
What?
Giao dịch với nhà môi giới số 1 thế giới FX Pro, hơn 2.100 sản phẩm giao dịch.
Damn it, again. I wish my PC didn't never have ads like this. Because it didn't make sense. Hold up, I need to get a sip of water. Tastes good. Actually, it was water, not juice. They're dropping people on parachutes? Never heard.
On the morning of November 20th. 1953. French paratroopers hit the ground.
French paratroopers hit the ground.
Despite encountering some resistance, they secured the valley center
by mid-afternoon.
And engineers soon arrived to repair the airstrip. A week later, two high-ranking French officers landed. The commander of the entire operation, Colonel Christian Castries, and the commander of the paratroopers, Colonel Pierre Longley. Over the next 3 months, the garrison launched a number of reconnaissance missions into the jungle at the express order of Coney, which accomplished little and sapped its strength. Preoccupied with forays, the garrison was too exhausted to properly fortify Dien Bien Phu. Meanwhile, the Viet Minh had occupied the hills surrounding Dien Bien Phu by early February. And started shelling the valley with artillery that they had disassembled and laboriously moved up 500 miles through the jungle. The guns were reassembled in the hills and camouflaged to protect them from French patrol. Air power and counter battery fire. Some of the Viet Minh batteries were even placed in underground position.
Isn't that they used to put on the artillery? I think so.
So that only the barrel of the gun was visible. In contrast, the French artillery was set up in the open. Making them easy targets. Despite repeated attempts, the French eventually lost the battle for the hill.
The French eventually lost the battle of the hills,
along with any hope of victory. By mid-March 1954,
1954.
The makeshift French defenses were complete. Interestingly, these strong points were supposedly named after Ducastry's former mistresses, and three of them, Gabrielle, Beatrice, and Isabel, were outside the main perimeter. You know how they say not to bring up your ex-girlfriends on
your neck? Wait, what do you mean? Ex-girlfriend?
the first date? I think
On the first date. Why the French and the Vietnamese?
the same rule applies
I think the same rule applies
in warfare.
in warfare. Yes.
Beatrice was at the heart of the defense,
Beatrice was at the heart of the defense,
as its function was to counter Viet Minh bombardment.
as its function was to counter Viet Minh bombardment.
It would not be long before its effectiveness
It wouldn't be long before its effectiveness
was put to the test.
was put to the test.
The French garrison numbered 13,500
The French garrison numbered 13,500
men in total.
500 men in total.
These included paratroopers,
These included paratroopers,
foreign legionaries, and
foreign legionaries, and
colonial troops from
colonial troops
the Maghreb,
from the
and
Maghreb,
members of the Vietnamese Thai minority.
and members of the Vietnamese Thai minority.
Zapp marshaled an army 49,000
Zapp marshaled army. Zapp marshaled an army of 500,000
strong, with
500 strong,
15,000 to
15,000
30,000 support personnel.
to 30,000 support personnel. Wow, that's twice the number of the French.
Additionally, he had greater than a 3-to-1 advantage
Eventually, he had a greater than a 3-to-1 advantage
in artillery.
in artillery. Artillery. To me, that was me. My battle with like the Vietnamese would cut through here, and then they will like cut their communications, then move through here, and then go up. That's to me.
Greater than a 3-to-1 advantage and are benefited.
Both combatants benefited
From the support of powerful allies. The Chinese provided Zapp with artillery
The Chinese provided Zapp with artillery pieces
pieces and military
and military advisors,
advisors, while the U.S. at one point paid
while the U.S. at one point
up to 80% of the
paid up to 80% of the French. Well, that's a lot.
French war effort.
French war effort.
The Eisenhower administration
The Eisenhower administration
had also been secretly supplying
supplying
the garrison with military aircraft disguised
with military aircraft
as civilian planes.
disguised as civilian planes.
Indeed, American pilots flew many
Indeed, American pilots flew many
of the Dien Bien Phu
of the Dien Bien Phu
supply lines.
supply lines.
On the
Okay.
afternoon
Okay, now the battle begins.
of March
On the afternoon of March
13th,
13th,
the Viet Minh began bombarding Beatrice,
the Viet Minh began bombarding Beatrice,
scoring a direct hit on the command bunker
scoring a direct hit on the command bunker
and killing several key officers.
and killing several key officers.
This was followed by an infantry attack,
This was followed by an infantry attack,
which the defenders resisted fiercely.
which the defenders resisted fiercely.
All was in vain, however.
All was in vain, however.
After midnight, the stronghold had fallen,
After midnight, the stronghold had
and
fallen,
hundreds of French soldiers lay dead, along with even more dead
and hundreds of French soldiers lay dead, along even more dead
Viet Minh.
Viet Minh.
Colonel
I don't like when Viet Minh just like one Viet Minh just die on the street. I don't like saying that much.
Ducastry decided